No, we're good.
I mean, I think we kind of got the gist of it like
Yeah.
30 years ago.
You could probably just leave.
It's. I think we know how they're starting fires. It's not a big secret anymore. It's it's kind of a thing we don't
Yeah.
need to do again.
So, but hey, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
And say hello to your mother for me.
I mean, take some peanuts on your way out if you want.
Not that many.
Dude, he took like 20 bags of peanuts.
He stuffed them all in his pockets too.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, do you want to know how I keep starting fires?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, well, let's just hit the theme song then.
You know when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
Okay, welcome, folks. Welcome back to What Were They Thinking? A podcast about bad to questionable movies. And the craptacular crapfest rolls on for 2023, talking about the worst of 2022. I, of course, am your host, Nathan, and with me, as always, is the Andy McGee to my Charlie McGee. Brendan, how you doing, fella?
I'm your father?
Sure, why not? I mean, you're younger than me. I don't see how it. There's not a whole lot of good relationships going on in this movie. This is the best that they get along.
So does that mean that to the Godfather's, much to the credit of the Godfather's hypothesis,
I don't want to speculate on that.
That means you you can call me daddy.
I don't want to speculate on that.
You can call me daddy. The entire episode?
Stop it.
I would appreciate...
You will not be appreciating that of me, though.
If you would call me Papa.
Nope.
Oh, I'm Brendan.
Not happening.
And we're here to talk about a great movie from 1984 starring Drew Barrymore. Actually, I shouldn't even say that's not that great.
A passable movie from 1984.
An okay movie from 1984, but no, we're not here to do that.
Really questionable casting choices.
What are you talking about?
Turn it off! Turn it off!
Oy. Yeah, Firestarter. Why?
Yeah.
Why do they do this? Why?
I don't... You know what? With the amount of liberties that they took with this story, this movie, it almost feels like somebody submitted a Firestarter-inspired script, and they were just like, look, we can't. They'll just say we're ripping it off, and they won't take it seriously. Let's see if we could get old Stephen Kang to give us the permissions to do a remake, put his name on it, and we'll call it Firestarter.
And because Stephen King pretty much just answers his phone by saying yes, here we are.
I mean, to a degree, that's fair.
I mean, he likes 99% of the movies that have been made based on his books. I think the only one he really doesn't like is The Shining.
Lawnmower Man.
Well, I mean, that was barely his book.
That's the thing. Like it was, they just used the name.
Yeah, that's literally that's less of an adaptation than The Shining was.
I've read the short story for the Lawnmower Man, and it has nothing to do with cyberspace.
Oh no, like absolutely nothing.
It's like a little demon dude that eats grass, and then he kills a guy.
But weirdly enough, the book also does star Jeff Fahey. I thought that was strange. In Stephen King's book he wrote, and then the Lawnmower Man, in brackets, looking like a young Jeff Fahey.
Who I don't even know who that is right now. It's a name that just popped into my head.
Oh, I think he's the Lawnmower Man.
All right, well, pitter patter, let's get at her. Get this thing over with. Plot! Firestarter. It's about a little girl named Charlie. She has pyrokinesis. For those of you who are not in the know, the ability to start fires using nothing but her mind. She is born with these powers. Her parents were also psychically enabled through a government experiment called Lot 6. When Charlie was born, they went on the run to keep her from the government so they wouldn't do experiments on her. Of course, the government catches up with them, and which just makes them go on the run. Runnier? It's like when you go on the run even more than you were on the run before.
When you get the runs.
No, not the same thing.
Oh, okay.
That's an entirely different psychic ability.
Oh, that'd be a pretty good psychic ability to have against your enemies.
Just to give them the run.
Just to make them shit their pants.
Use the brown note from South Park.
But just with your mind? Holy shit.
So Charlie, that's the little girl, and her dad go on the run, the double run, I guess, and from the government, mayhem and hilarity ensues.
Yeah, and very off-putting, just for me. This is a me problem, but it was weird to see Zac Efron as an adult man with a child.
He's like he's Hollywood old now. He's playing someone's dad.
He's a year younger than I am, and I was like, oh, so he's playing a father. So, I mean, I'm not saying that he would have to be older to be the father of she's 9 years old or something.
Yeah, and I mean, he was in college when he met the mom. So.
But I was like, is he getting up there? And I looked and I was like, no, he's younger than me.
You could be someone's dad. I mean, technically.
I mean, I am a fur dad. Does that sound bad? I meant I have animals.
Okay.
I don't mean that I'm the parent to many furries, but if that's your thing, hey, cool.
Or maybe that you have furries that call you daddy.
This episode has already veered off the cliff. And we did establish earlier that you could call me daddy, so are you admitting here that you are a furry?
No, I'm not. That's why I refuse to.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah.
But hey, if you live that lifestyle, live your best life.
That's right.
Just
Don't let
hurt
anybody
real
kink shame you.
Please.
Unlike they did in this movie.
Oh, man.
Let's get into it.
In theory.
All right, so we open up with the only road that you should take when watching this movie. Of course, the weed road, man.
So many logos.
Once we get through a myriad of logos, we get breastfeeding. Gross.
Ugh. That's probably why they got the R rating, dude.
Right? Chicks shouldn't be doing that in public.
Never.
Just kidding, folks.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell by our tone of voice.
Please, just kidding. Just kidding.
Do it where you gotta do it.
That's right. It's okay, so there's a mom breastfeeding a little girl, a little baby. We know this is Charlie because this is our Firestarter. Mm-hmm. Puts her in the crib, and immediately the song "The Sun" by They Might Be Giants came to mind. Because the baby starts setting her little mobile on fire. Mm-hmm. It's got the Earth and the Mars and the sun, and the sun is a mass of incandescent gases, a giant nuclear furnace. Those are the lyrics.
Okay. Also, did it just? I thought it was in a Neil Breen movie for a second because we spent a lot of time just lingering on the shot
this
of them looking
family.
Happy.
Yeah.
And the baby just in the crib, and then back to the smiley parents, and then back to the baby. It's like, I get it. Their life is about to be upended. I understand the movie.
The son, of course, bursts into flames. Dad goes in, and they save the baby, and this is all just a dream that's happening.
Yeah, that was lame.
Yeah, because I'm assuming it's something that did happen to them when the baby was, when the kid was a baby. It's like a reoccurring nightmare. I
don't know, though, man. 95% of the time when a movie cold opens with a dream sequence, it takes me out a little bit. I'm just like, oh. You built me up to this, interesting start, and then you're just, yanking the rug out.
Well, at least they didn't end it with that. Human Centipede 2.
Or continue the dream sequence for 20 minutes. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Oh, yeah. That's also equally terrible.
The only bad part of that movie, everything else was perfect.
So, we it's the child is not a baby. It's that this where you said she's 9, I believe.
Yeah, something like
Charlie. That. Yeah, Dad wakes up and Charlie's at the kitchen table playing with a Zippo, as little kids do. My immediate thought was she's gonna wet the bed, because that's was a thing that I was told kids who played with fire did. They wet the bed.
Just to get you to not play with fire.
I guess.
I don't think there's any scientific...
I don't ever remember my brother having a problem wetting the bed, and he played with lighters a lot. So it's a little insight into my life.
Well, I mean, it was nice of you to... I like how that started. It seemed like you were just going to reveal that your brother played with lighters a lot and wet the bed constantly. But you did. No. But you went the other way with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Just for the sake of the show. I mean,
do it for the ratings, damn it.
Look, if I'm not going to do it for the gram, I'm not going to do it for the ratings, okay? So, this leads to a late night talk between Dad, Andy, played by Zac Efron, and Charlie, who I'm sure is a child actor who will go far.
Who I'm sure is a child actor. That is correct.
I mean, we could be in an orphan situation here. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I think she was played by an actual child, but I haven't done my research. And I usually do all my own research.
I mean that we could be in that situation where this person is just a little person with pituitary dwarfism, and then she just looks that way.
Nathan, I can confirm that this girl was born in 2010.
All right, so mystery solved. We know she's a child, and not we're not in a real life orphan situation here.
Yeah, what were they thinking?
That's it. I mean, mystery solved. Thanks, guys. Worst of 2022. No, unfortunately, it's not. It's we get we have this little late night talk, and Charlie is talking about the bad feelings, and having read the original book and seen the first movie, and knowing that the movie is called Firestarter, I'm automatically knowing, okay, she's been suppressing her ability or urges to start fires with her mind, but that's no longer the case. Smash cut to the most MTV credits I've ever seen. Awful.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I wonder how much Kurtwood Smith got paid for this movie.
I mean, we hear his voice here, and then he's in 2 scenes later?
If that.
Yeah. I can't imagine it was much.
But, so during the credit scene, we're seeing the young version of Mom and the young version of Dad, and they're taking part in a drug experiment, what they think is for... Pfizer and all this, and I was like, you know what? I'm looking at this now, and I guarantee you that there were anti-vaxxers who felt this movie was a documentary or inspired by true events.
See, guys, that's what's gonna happen.
Everyone's gonna get Firestarter powers.
I mean, if everyone had Firestarter powers, I feel like that would be a dangerous world.
Oh, yeah, especially, well, I mean, actually, if they got them through the vaccines, we might be okay, because the anti-vaxxers wouldn't have it, because they're too, quote, smart, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, be like, hey, if you don't shut up, I'm going to burn you alive.
Okay.
Just show up at a Klan rally and threaten them all.
We get all kinds of backstory here about Dad and Mom, how they grew up orphans. They're asking the questions like, have you ever had any real psychic or unexplainable phenomena happen around you? Mom's like, I don't want to talk about it. Andy, he says that his parents died in a car crash, but he had a premonition of it weeks before. They explain how the experimental drug is going to work, and then I guess boom, we cut to like a bunch of like people like tearing their eyes out, and so there were some adverse effects with Lot 6 because that's the name of the drug. There's people tearing their eyes. The only, I guess these two were like two of the only ones to survive the this version of the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in the original book they were the only two that made it out of the actual experiment itself, because it's gonna give you guys some spoiler alert. They took some liberties with this movie.
What?
Oh my god! Like even more so than like you would normally expect in a novel adaptation. I mean, if you've seen the other Pet Sematary movie with Jason Clarke, how they were like, oh, we're just gonna change which kid dies and how the whole thing actually ends. Those kind of liberties are the ones they took with this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Well, even the ending too. I know the ending is like completely not what the ending is.
Oh, the ending is absolutely completely different.
Yeah.
There's actually, watching this movie, there were only a couple times where I was like, oh, okay, they got that right. Or that was an homage to the original. Because, again, I feel this was a movie that was, somebody wrote a script that inspired by Firestarter, wanting to do it in the vein of, and then somebody at the studio was like, no, we'll just do a Firestarter remake, and that'll get us more money.
Can we talk, because we see in the opening scenes here, we talk about Zac Efron's occupation.
Oh.
How he's apparently like a counselor of some kind to help. Well,
life coach.
A life coach. In the scene that we see, he's like, I'm going to help you quit smoking. You're never going to want a cigarette again. Which he just enters their mind with his telepathic abilities and causes her to not want to smoke again. I don't know.
So he's Charles Xavier.
Yeah, I feel like that's dangerous.
Well, he even alludes to that in the later on when because he has this ability that he calls the push, where he can, like as Brendan said, go into your head and manipulate your wants and desires and make you not want to smoke. And at one point, Mom says, why can't you just go into her head and make her forget about these powers or not want to use them or something like that? And he's like, are you kidding? The stuff that I do, how much that would probably screw up somebody's brain? I'm not doing that to my kid.
But he's okay to do it to a complete stranger who just wants to quit smoking.
Well, she quits smoking. I mean, if she dies of a brain lesion, that's not his problem, I guess. And also,
that's bullshit considering what he does later.
He has to, though.
But I mean, if he could, never mind. But yeah, I just thought that was crazy. And then when she talks about like how she's having trouble containing herself, he thinks at first that she's talking about how she's getting her period. And he's like, and he literally goes, Mom, can you get in here?
She says that she had to talk about changes. And he's like, I think we should get your mother in here for this. And she goes, not that.
Yeah.
Because even she knows that he handles it with all the grace of a water buffalo.
Luckily, it didn't turn into that skit from movie 43.
You guys are idiots.
Jesus.
Gross or period.
I also have a note here. Are they planning on using any lighting in this movie? Because most of the movie, a good chunk of the movie,
dark. Yeah,
I can't see shit. Like, I can see it, but like I'm just like, guys, it doesn't have to look murky the whole time. You're allowed to use some lighting.
If we want to hide how cheap the effects look, yeah, it does.
That's totally what it is, because there are scenes where I'm like, it doesn't have to be dark right now. Like, they're just having a casual conversation.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like dark lighting. It just looked like bad lighting or like lack of lighting.
What do I got next here? That moment, Charlie. Oh. We go to...
his eyes bleed, by the way, when he uses the push.
Whenever he does it, he gets a little... He gets some blood tears.
Which I also wrote, maybe that's another reason you should probably change your occupation.
Maybe stop doing that. Yeah, it's clearly hurting you.
Just work at a store.
We actually, and that was the interesting thing. because at this point we hadn't really, unless you were watching the credits super close to see the dates on the timestamps on the experiment, I was like, is this set now, or did they keep it with the time at the I guess the time period. That's the words I'm looking for. Yeah, that's it. Starting off 2023 with a bang.
Peek behind the curtain there.
Right. I was wondering if they had kept it in the original time period or if they were going to modernize it. And then, of course, we cut to school and kids are laughing at Charlie because she doesn't have Google. I'm like, oh, okay.
What a loser.
And I gotta say this. Really wanted her to incinerate that little brat that sat next to her. Hated that kid.
I love how the teacher says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot your parents are Amish," and
they're not even Amish. Like, they're not Mennonites. I think the kid's just being a little shithead.
Well, no, but I thought for a second that the movie then confirmed. I was gonna make a joke that in my notes that they were Amish, and then the teacher said, "Oh, sorry, I forgot your parents are Amish," and I was like, "Oh, wait, what? That can't be it."
Oh, I didn't hear her say Amish. I thought I forgot.
No,
like as in
I think she does say something like that, like your parents are Amish or something. And I was like,
okay, because she was Amish, she wouldn't be going to that school,
right?
I mean, if Paranormal Activity next to kin taught us anything,
which it didn't.
No, not a thing. except that thing that Brent taught us.
He did teach us that. Yeah.
During that episode, yeah.
But Wi-Fi rots your brains, Charlie. It's bad for you. Now let's get back to how you can command fire with your head.
So yeah, because they're doing their experiment. They're dissecting frogs, and she doesn't do very well with it. The little shithead that sits next to him says, "Hey, do Amish people share all their bathwater? Because that's weird. And you're weird." And I'm like, oh my God, set him on fire. Please set him on fire. Just burst into flames. Into flames. Come on.
Yeah.
Mom and Charlie, they kind of have a talk in the room, because we forgot to mention, she has these processing abilities to stop herself from using her Firestarter powers, where she'll name, 5 things that she can see, 4 things that she can smell. And it's like a calming mantra type thing to take her mind off the rage that is going to incinerate somebody. And so she uses that at school, but it's still getting like really hot. So we know that she's losing control of her ability to hold on to these powers. She's talking to her mom. It's a real sweet. They clearly have a really nice close relationship. We don't get to delve too much into that, because we cut to school the next day at the dodgeball, which I really thought Ginger was gonna get it here.
Oh, yeah, okay. What did she do in this scene?
Well, so they're playing dodgeball. And old Charlie, she manages to take out one of the other players who's on the same team as Ginger. And as she turns around to, I guess, seek approval from her teacher, the Ginger kid comes up and just biffs her with a dodgeball in the head. And she's gonna incinerate him, which, I mean, she should have. But she doesn't. She runs off to the bathroom.
Yeah, by the way, bravest teacher ever in this scene, because she walks in and hears hot water running taps, pounding on the stall door, a bunch of steam is coming out, and she's like, maybe I should keep walking towards it and see what's up.
And then kaboom!
Boom, explosion.
Yeah. Holy shit, says the teacher. I mean, she should be fired for using that kind of language around students.
That was the worst crime in that scene.
Yeah.
I just find it was weird because, the next day, I think it is, the teacher and the principal meet with Efron, Zac Efron and, her mom or whatever. And I'm like, why didn't he just use his abilities there to make them forget about it?
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know if he can wipe memories like Professor Xavier.
But he could, make them think that someone else did it. I don't know.
Oh, well, I suppose that's fair.
Or that it was an accident, or that it was a terrorist attack. I don't know.
I think the thing is though that he has he would have bigger fish to fry, if you'll pardon the pun, in that situation because they called the cops and the fire department and everything like that. So he wouldn't have to just make, the school principal and the teacher forget. He'd have to make all the cops who responded, all the paramedics, all the firemen, all the kids who were there who may have saw some of this whole thing go down. He would be leaking brain out of his nose by the time it was all said and done.
Get some fucking gauze and get the job done. That's your kid, dude. That's
Cram some tampons up your nose and get to work.
Get to work. Get that shit done. And whoever you can't convince, just let the girl set him on fire.
And also, I think this is a situation where he's like, I get bigger things to worry about because there's no way nobody found out about this. We got to get out of town.
Right.
And this is where you kind of get a little bit of exposition about you already know that Andy, Zac Efron, he has the ability to control minds. And Mom, apparently, with her Lot 6 gift, got telekinesis, the ability to move stuff with your mind, just like Carrie White, and not the girl from the Rage Carrie 2, that terrible movie. I mean, just like that, but not like, because that movie's fucking terrible.
Yeah. Electric Teleloo.
Oh my god. And I guess if a parent with mind control capabilities and one with telekinesis rather, get together, their kid gets the ability to use telepathy and pyrokinesis, because I think she moves one thing with her mind without like having it burst into flames.
Yeah, and she also can do the things that her dad can do too.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
she gets Mom's and Dad's powers,
yeah,
but hers is more specifically pyrokinesis instead of telekinesis. But I don't. Again, I believe another liberty that was taken with this story. Goodness gracious!
But she does. They do talk about leaving, and then she responds by setting her mom's arms on fucking fire.
Oh yeah, well, because they're having this huge argument, and Andy keeps yelling, "You need to calm down! You need to calm down!" Hey guys, I'm gonna give everyone free bit of advice. Nobody has ever calmed down by being told they need to calm down in the history of calming down, ever.
Yeah. And I know that, like, when I'm really angry, what makes me most at ease is when people say, "Hey, don't be so angry." Like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. Thank you.
There's other ways to get the point across without being saying something like that. Because again, nobody has ever calmed down ever.
Or I'm having a good cry, and someone's like, "Hey, don't be sad. It's gonna be okay." Oh, is it? Oh, I'm better now.
Shut up, asshole. Yeah. So mom's arms get burst into flames. They don't go to the hospital,
but she does call 911.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like when Charlie called 911, and they convinced her to not say anything and don't just hang up. I immediately wrote, "They're still going to send someone."
Yeah, I wrote that too. But you know what? It took a long time.
I don't care. They still did send someone.
No, I know. That was the thing I wrote at the moment. I was like, okay, there's, they're going to visit the house, but I was actually pretty shocked at because I forgot. And then it was like the next day.
Especially considering it's a 911 call and nobody says anything to the 911 operator.
Yeah. And it was almost the next day and they were like, "Oh, I think we got a 911 call here." And I was like, "What? Guys, geez, don't, hurry up, get over there quick."
If it were a situation where someone called 911 and somebody said, "Oh, sorry, I meant 411, my mistake," and they hang up, maybe you send somebody the next day just to check to see the place is still standing.
Yeah.
But if you're 911 and there's nobody there, and then the dial tone goes because they hung up, you send somebody immediately. So, but they didn't, as I said, and we get the whole idea that these bad men are going to be after us, meaning because they finally now decide to tell Charlie like everything. And, you know, to say that, you know, that why they keep moving is because the government's looking for them. We don't have Wi-Fi or cell phones because the government can track that. We're not Amish. Surprise, kid. Figured you would know, considering we actually do have, like, you know, some electricity.
By the way, all information that we have already figured out for ourselves. So it's really annoying in movies where they have to, in order to get one character to know it, they have to literally explain the whole thing in a scene. It's like, guys, there's more economical ways to get here. Like, we know that she has fire powers. We know that you're all wanted by the government. Just find some way off screen to do this.
So we after all that, we do cut to the government, who, as we said, are looking for them. They saw the heat signature at the school. They heard about so they're like, oh, they're there in Lewiston in Maine. We need to get Rainbird in on this. And
thankfully not played by a 60-year-old white actor.
Too true. I will say good on them for actually casting an Indigenous person in an Indigenous role.
Yes.
However, not good on them for absolutely destroying the story from the original story about what that character was supposed to do and who he was supposed to be. Because we meet Rainbird, who is formerly a government operative used for, wet works and cleanup and things like that. Amanda Waller is essentially, actually Condoleezza Rice is trying to get it, because, man, that lady looked a lot like Condoleezza Rice. Trying to get him to come in so he can go and get Charlie and mom and dad and bring them in. In the original story, this character is a government operative, but known for psychological operatives. So he would go undercover, earn the trust of someone, get to know their secrets, that sort of thing. And that's what he was designed to do in the book and in the original movie. Not, be some, I guess, psychic Terminator, I guess.
Yeah, he has powers too.
We find that out, yes, because when he does track them down, because before they're about to leave town, Charlie and Dad, they go out for like ice cream or to the movies or something. Mom stays home. Rainbird shows up and he wants to get the information out of Mom, and he starts using his psychic abilities, and he's like, you didn't think you were the only one. And I'll say this, bold for them about being making the statement about the government experimenting on Indigenous people before they experimented on other people as well, but not an original piece of the story.
And can I just say the one thing that made me laugh, because I did, before even watching the rest of the movie, it made me laugh because I knew it was a lie and they were going to go back on it. But like at the beginning, when they're reactivating Rainbird, as she says, she's like, I'm hiring you because of your discretion. What? You must rest this movie. He does not have any discretion.
And she, in fairness, she does call him out for that. So good HR meeting.
I guess so. But it did feel like, but he was like, you're known for your discretion based on his what I've seen of him. I don't think I find it hard to believe he was ever known for his discretion. He's sniping, he snipes 6 cops.
Cops, yeah.
and in this scene, ends up fucking murdering the mom.
Yes. Pretty brutal. We don't see it, thankfully. It's not done in front of our eyes because she gets folded with her clothes get folded with her in it.
Keep that in mind, people. Rainbird in this scene, because he's going to show up later, in this scene, murders Charlie's mother.
Yeah.
Just keep that in the back of your head.
So we also get the bit of exposition that, because Charlie's upset talking to Dad, and she basically says that I was aiming at you when Mom's arms burst into flames.
Yeah.
So she just so it's clear, she wanted to burn her dad, and she hasn't honed her abilities whatsoever.
At some point in this movie too, I stopped feeling bad for her when she says, "Oh, I can't control it." It's like, okay, you know exactly what you feel right before you do it. It's happened like 15 times now.
Just calm down.
Yeah.
Don't be so Firestartery. Everything's gonna be okay.
Just stop setting people on fire, for God's sakes.
It's just that easy.
Well, I mean, it's happened. Look how many times it happens. I mean, surely you figured out the formula by now.
Another thing that I guess this movie deals with, for the lack of a better term, they talk about the whole idea of the whole Firestarter thing being like an emotion. It's just you just gotta push it down, just push it down, and then of course, yeah, the mom actually makes the quip that this is what happens when you just keep pushing the emotions down. And I was like, you know what, movie, you don't know me.
Wow. Okay. Something you want to talk about there, Nathan? Or?
No, I'm good. I'm just pushing it down.
Pushing it sure down. You don't want to just like maybe bring some things up, kind of state your case a bit?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. I'll just keep drinking that beer, I guess. Is it down?
Emotionally crippling.
Okay, perfect.
So anyways, Charlie Zane was off, and they return home, and they're like, "Where's mom? Where's mom?" Mom, like as I said, had her clothes folded with her in it. She falls out of a cupboard.
Yeah.
You think he would have locked that shit? Made sure.
What is Rainbird? What is he like? Jason Voorhees leaving his victims in like hilarious situations. It's like, oh shit, you know what? I'm not only gonna kill her. See, that screams more malicious and psychotic. Like, not only did you kill this girl's mother, you left her in a cupboard so that when they opened it, she'd flop out of there, and you're probably off like with a telescope or what? With a telescope, just you know what I'm saying? Just outside of the house, just looking and just having a laugh.
It was at this point where I was like, oh, none of this was supposed to go like this at all. I'll be kind of happy if they even just sort of nod to the actual book movie. Sorry, I just pushing it down. Pushing it down.
Because,
yeah.
But Nathan, what happens after the very discreet murder of Charlie's mother?
They have kind of a psychic fight, get away, and we cut to Condoleezza Rice going to visit Red Foreman.
Yes.
Who's drawing with sand now, I guess?
And I guess he's in like an asylum of some kind.
I didn't know. See, I thought it was a retirement home, but it definitely did have a like, psychiatric facility feel to it.
Yeah. Also,
like where Jimmy lived in the Wizard.
Also, don't worry.
He could have got out easily. And there were probably a bunch of guys watching the same television show.
I would have loved if Kurtwood Smith was like, California.
Dumbass.
Also, like, guys, I love Kurtwood Smith, but he could have been completely cut from the movie and it wouldn't have made any difference.
Really? It really wouldn't, because he does give a bit of like just that exposition. And when he's kind of telling Condoleezza Rice, why she shouldn't be going after Charlie, he says, "Heed my words." And Patty thought he said, "Eat my words." And I had to stop because I was laughing too hard. And she was like, "What?" I was like, "Heed with an H. Heed. Listen to my words, not eat my words." She goes, "I was wondering why he said that."
Eat my words. Yeah. He's older. He tried to say eat my dust. Like, he got confused.
He sound like, yeah, I got to confuse eat my shorts, and anyhow.
Eat my words. But he does say that, what I think you should do is exterminate that child.
Yes. Also at this time, again, Charlie and Andy are on the run, and Dad needs rest because they've been driving all night.
Yeah.
And Charlie befriends a cat.
Yeah. For a moment.
And it was a catastrophe.
It gave her a scratch, and she burned it
alive.
It. And I was like, okay, that's all it takes? Like,
but that's the thing. Like, why couldn't she have done that to the ginger kid back in Lewiston?
Well, that's what I mean.
He deserved it.
If one cat scratch makes you immediately lose your mind, also, like, when she felt she was going to do that to the kid, she knew enough to get out of the way. Why didn't she just turn around?
Maybe she thought, you know what? This cat's a ginger too. They're all like
oof magoof,
incinerated.
And then Zac Efron goes over, and I did laugh hard at this part because he goes, "All right, well, you got to do it again, put it out of its misery." I was like, "Holy shit, dude!"
What are you gonna do? Let it suffer?
But like, I don't know. He could have been like, "Charlie, walk away. I'll take this one."
I think it was kind of bullshit that he not only made her put it out of its misery, but he also made her, I guess he saw it as a teachable moment so she could train to target her psychic powers better.
That was pretty twisted.
Because he doesn't let her, like, just go get a rock or something to kill this poor cat.
Or
he
like...
makes her use her fucking flame abilities.
Or like, he could have done that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he could have said, "Oh my God, you must be traumatized. You just murdered a cute little kitty in front of your very eyes, and you feel really bad for it."
You don't, as a parent, you have to look for these teachable moments, these times when you.
She is like tears streaming down her face. Is just emotionally wrecked, and he's like, "You got to do it again.
Got to put it out of its misery.
Jesus.
You don't want it suffering." And what? In all fairness, they are respectful. And they do bury the cat,
and they have a cat funeral.
Cat funeral with a gravestone that says "cat" on it.
Which I'm like, listen, I don't like that the cat died either. But aren't you on the run? Like,
time to bury the cat.
Don't you have? Isn't the clock a ticking?
Oh, and so after they have their cat funeral, Charlie and Andy talk about, their powers and stuff like that, and Andy's even saying like, I have to show you how to use them, because they also kind of hurt when you use them.
Mm-hmm.
And she says like, I don't know, feels kind of good. Charlie, Drew Barrymore's Charlie, sweet girl.
Mm-hmm.
Not a sociopath.
No.
Just the way she said that, I was like, oh, I hope you've taught her right from wrong, or at least given her Dexter rules.
The only thing he taught her was that she should sing most of her dialogue.
Okay.
And then hang out with Seth Rogen a bunch.
So now they're not only are they on the run, they're on the walk, trying to get to Boston because they can't take the car. The cops are going to be looking for the car, so they're trying to hitch a ride. A nice old fella comes by, and it's The Rock's dad from Walking Tall.
Oh, okay.
and Charlie has to use the push on them. He wants to convince them to drive them from, I'm assuming, is Lower Main.
Well, Andy has to use the push.
Andy.
Yeah.
Andy has to use the push to convince The Rock's dad from Walking Tall to drive them to Boston. And they're probably in the lower part of Maine. They're not even in Massachusetts. They've only been on the run for a day.
Yeah.
And he offers them $100. It's really a $1 bill, but he uses the push to make it look like a $100 bill. Well, he can't pass that up. He says yes. And but we need to make a quick stop at home for some lunch, and you can meet my wife. I don't know where he thought this plan was going.
I don't know. I do like though that when he finds out that Zac Efron is a life coach, he said, "Whole world's going to hell." I was like, what?
So they stop at Irv's place,
his name?
Rock's
Okay.
dad from Walking Tall.
Good Lord.
And he calls out to his wife, and he's talking about her like she's gonna be like up and around waiting for him, and we don't see her. Charlie's creeping around, and Patty's like, "This guy's a serial killer, isn't he?" Because that was the vibe that we were getting about this scene.
Yeah.
Where, like, we don't see the wife. He calls out to her, but she doesn't yell back. It's an old farmhouse, in New England. And she's creeping around, and she gets to, like, this window, and she's looking inside. Patty's like, that's where his victims are. Like, Patty was full on convinced that there were going to be bodies stacked like cordwood in this guy's, like, house somewheres.
I kept expecting, like, fucking Pearl to show up around the corner or something.
Right? Unfortunately, I guess fortunately or unfortunately, that's not the case.
Fortunately
Charlie
for
falls...
them, unfortunately for the viewer.
There you go. That's a good one. Way to put it. She falls through the screen and she meets Irv's wife, who is quadriplegic and actually can't even speak. Mm-hmm. I believe she's on like a ventilator.
Which I love that this poor woman that is just laid up just sees this little girl smash through her window and get up and just like casually like, "Oh, hi, I'm Charlie."
and then starts hearing her thoughts because Charlie starts being able to like hear what the lady's saying, and she's like, "Oh, hi, so and so, I'm Charlie."
Right,
and
it's insane.
How does this woman not have like an absolute coronary right at that moment?
That's what I wrote down. I was like, this woman would be dead right now.
But she's not. Irv, Charlie comes out of the room. Irv gets all upset. What are you doing in there? And then everything's just kind of laid bare. Or so we think. Irv says they get T-boned by a DUI. They lost their son in the wreck, and she's been a quadriplegic on a ventilator ever since. 30 years, I guess.
Yeah.
So I mean, good on him for in sickness and in healthing for 30 years on that end.
And he also recognizes that Efron is the quote unquote wife killer, because that's how they've been talking about it on the news.
Yeah, because that comes up next.
Yeah,
because they go to sleep and they wake up and Irv's been up drinking all night, watching the news, and we see that like Andy and them are on the news, and he's like, I called the cops. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, well, really? We know a thing or two about you." It's the weirdest exchange because she's like, because Charlie says that your wife forgives you. It wasn't a drunk driver. You were both fighting and you weren't paying attention while you were driving.
Mm-hmm.
And now you drink because you can't forgive yourself. Well, she forgives you. And I'm thinking the cops are on the way.
Yeah, get out of that house. Also,
right?
Very subtle commentary. I don't know if you caught it, but he calls Efron a wife killer because he hears, like you said, he hears the news that the news made it sound like he killed his wife and not Rainbird, and because he's very discreet. And Zac Efron is like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "You mean?" And he says, "You mean I can't trust the TV?" And he says, "Yeah, shocker, right?" Like Zac Efron might as well have looked at the camera and been like, "Am I right, folks?"
You Newsmax people know what I'm talking about.
Fake news, Max. Yeah.
And you guys are all going to be a turning point next week.
Yeah, why don't you get back to trying to elect a fucking Speaker of the House, you dumb shits.
Where McHugh's at? Where McQAnon's at?
Oh my god.
So yeah. This is where, as Brendan alluded to earlier, the whole story with Rainbird being a stealthy psyops agent who could, earn people's trusts and go undercover seamlessly. Just that story from the original right out the window because the cops show up and old Rainbird just takes out every cop there.
And that's just after the old man is doing his best, like, old man ramble to distract him because
I've been drinking.
Well, because he has a change of heart like 30 seconds later, and he's like, no, I thought I saw them, but I didn't see them.
He has the change of heart because
Yeah.
Charlie tells him about what the wife thought and how she forgave him, and you shouldn't drink yourself to death. Don't worry, someone's gonna shoot me in the knee with a high caliber rifle in a few minutes.
But he doesn't die.
Luckily, yes, he's the like all the cops get killed, but the Irv makes it out, I guess.
I was shocked by that.
I kind of was too.
Yeah.
Because if you really want to put the Rainbird guy off as like a merciless killer, have him kill a guy who just had some sort of like forgiveness redemption happen to him, and maybe things are going to be better, and I'm going to stop drinking, and dead.
Well, that's usually the movie thing too, right? In a badly written movie, you'll see a character reach some sort of level of understanding, or like the person they like finally says, yeah, I like you, and you're like, oh, they're going to die soon.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. I gotta just real quick before we move on. As I said, Irv had been drinking all night. Did you notice what beer he was drinking? The pretend beer that he was drinking?
Did it just say beer?
Nope. Remember, they're in New England.
All right. Probably
still in Maine. He was drinking a yacht beer.
He was drinking what?
A yacht.
It was called
AYUH, like Judd Crandall from the original Pet Sematary.
What the?
Yeah, a lot of history in them there beers.
Wow, strange.
I was like, that was like your genuinely one great moment movie. Good on you.
Oh, I believe it looks like it's a real beer.
Is it really?
It says Aya by Marshall Wharf Brewing Company is an IPA New England hazy. Yeah. Looks like a real beer.
I wonder if I could get it shipped to Canada. I would just Aya.
I
thought it was like Puppers on Letterkenny. Like it's just the made up beer because they didn't want to get some sort of sponsor deal or anything like that.
Cost to say Rainbow is one of the more discreet killers.
Yeah, all the gunfire over at the Johnson place tells me otherwise, though.
Don't go in there.
a lot of history in that there.
Sometimes dead is better.
And I guess Charlie gets to use over. They're gonna have a psychic fight,
which I just want to say,
Charlie apparently is Bowser.
Is what?
She's apparently like she screams fire out of her mouth.
Yeah, and I just want to say, a telekinesis fight, not the most exciting thing to see in a movie.
Although the funniest thing is, I saw it once on South Park. It was great. Psychic fight. They're just going at each other. And I feel that that's what this would be. With all this going on, Charlie does manage to make her escape. But the feds show up and arrest Rainbird and Andy, and they got special contact lens shields, I guess.
It's basically like that scene in Deadpool where they put that you can't use your mutant power thing over his body or whatever, or his ankle or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But in this one, it's like, yeah, they have like special contact lenses.
Well, because like it's never said that that Andy has to look you right in the eye.
No.
To do it, because he even tells the girl in the original scene with the smoking to close her eyes.
Yeah.
And so like I don't it just seemed like a shitty way to explain why he didn't use the push on the guys who were arresting them.
Why didn't they just shoot
tranquilizer darts?
What?
Tranquilizer darts. Why they just have them like trank him and he can't use his powers because he's all druggy and then he's asleep.
Well, yeah, or like, Rainbird hit him with the butt of his gun or something.
Knocked him out. Yeah, exactly.
So many other ways to get to that.
And it also presents the problem with so many other agents who die because they forgot to put their contact lenses in later.
Wouldn't you always have those?
You would think, especially in the facility that they go to, because they take Rainbird and Andy to a special Black Ops site specifically for people with psychic powers.
Which I gotta say is a real waste of my tax dollars.
And by the looks of it, a former hospital that has an underground parking garage.
Well, that's what happens when your movie has a total budget of $12 million, I guess.
Is that all it got?
Yeah. It's all
Wow.
Sorry. Yeah, budget 12 million, box office 15.
This made money.
Barely. Did it though?
I like to think that it was. They did use a hell of a lot on marketing because I barely knew it when it came out.
Yeah.
I saw that they were doing it because I saw a teaser trailer. I think I saw maybe 2 ads for it when it was in theaters, and that's it.
But marketing, they say, is almost always half the budget. So, I mean, not one of Blumhouse's biggest hits.
No.
Oh yeah, did I not mention this is Blumhouse?
And actually, it's interesting because I was just listening to one of our older episodes where we kind of talk about how Blumhouse is doing great things in regards to, like, modern horror, because everyone is always saying that there's no good horror movies out there. And then not everyone's a hit. Case in point.
Yeah, See This and Truth or Dare.
Oh, they got more than those 2 stinkers.
Yeah, they got a decent chunk.
Yeah, but they've also got a pretty good. That's the nice thing about a Blumhouse movie. I mean, it's like it's either gonna be good or it's gonna be bad. Like, but you're gonna have a laugh one way or the other.
Well, they all can't be as good as Fantasy Island.
Oof. Psychic fight, protective contacts, and we find out that I guess everyone is kind of a psychic freak in this movie, it seems.
Yeah.
Because Rainbird is, Charlie is, and Andy is, and is it not alluded to that like the Amanda Waller Condoleezza Rice lady is as well?
I think so, because I wrote down, okay, it's not special anymore if everyone can do it.
Exactly.
Also, the girl, Charlie, is by herself, and they make a big deal about her starting a fire, and I'm like, oh, congratulations. Like, I haven't seen you do this a million times.
Oh, yeah, because she kind of has, for lack of a better term, she has her training montage, where she's kind of honing her power, and she nearly burns down, like, half of New England.
Right.
Because when she got away from Rainbird, she ran off into the woods. So she's out in the woods trying to stay warm, and she's trying to start a fire and honing her psychic abilities. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's.
Oh, and she comes across three bullies.
And oh my God, this is actually one of my favorite. I thought I was at least gonna get to see one kid get incinerated, since I was, they cock blocked me on the whole thing with the ginger kid from before.
No, she just does the Terminator moment where she's like, basically like, I need your keys, your bike, and your clothes.
She uses Dad's
and your sandwich
abilities. Yeah, your sandwich, your clothes, and your bike.
And then the funniest thing, and I don't know why they did it like this, but there's a moment after where she says, "Where's the coast?" And 2 of them point because they're still under the trance, and then the third one like takes an extra second or 2 and then points as well. And I'm like, wait. We
did 27 takes, and that was the best one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, did that kid just do it because his friends did it, or does he actually know?
The director's infuriated this kid can't get his shit together,
He's
synchronizing his point.
You are through in Hollywood.
Fine, just print it. I don't care. Get that kid's agent on the phone. I don't want to see him on a set ever again.
Jason Blum just told me we cannot do more than 12 takes for this fucking scene.
So yeah, she's heading for the coast. I did note that when she was doing her training montage, that she might have been good at stacking sticks to start a fire, but she was shit for like creating an actual burning pit to burn the fire in, because the way she just stacked them up on the forest floor. It's gonna burn down the entire forest doing that.
Yeah, safest way to do it.
Remember, kids, only you can prevent forest fires.
Don't start them.
That's right.
I also got watching this scene too where she messes with those kids and gets, they tell her where the coast is and all that so she can find her dad. I got the vibe of like, oh, this movie thinks this is like a Stranger Things moment. Like, I feel like if Stranger Things hadn't come around, this remake wouldn't have happened.
Oh, that's kind of fair, because I definitely did get a lot of 11 vibes in this whole scene, specifically because she talks in a very clipped, almost like I just learned how to speak English kind of way. It's not like earlier where she's like, running on the mouth like, your average kid.
Yeah, I just feel like the whole Stranger Things getting so popular and like the whole 80s motif and the mind powers and stuff.
I would have given it some points if they had taken the cue from the Stranger Things phenomena and kept it in the 80s.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made this movie great or maybe even good.
Yeah.
But at least it would have got a few points in that column for me.
But they should have kept the stuff in about the Wi-Fi and the Google though. Just for the hell of it.
To throw people off.
Yeah.
She finds this black ops facility or black bag facility with no problems whatsoever, because she thinks she's getting signals from her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like her dad's reaching out to tell her where to go to find him to help free him.
Right.
So she finds this government facility and actually manages to infiltrate it quite easily. This black bag secret CIA NSA site, and she just kind of saunters in for the most part.
Yeah, just walks in the front door. That's all you got to do.
She walks in the front door and disables a camera.
and that's it. She takes down the whole system. Everybody's free.
Oh my god.
And we've apparently entered like a Tangerine Dream music video at this point.
Yeah.
Which, coincidentally, the band that also did the soundtrack for the original movie, I actually wrote that note down and then saw that after. And I was like, whoa.
She ends up killing an agent, because despite the fact that she didn't want to, because her dad told her a story when they were on the run, told her a story about how he killed a couple of federal agents way back so he could get her back from them and go on the run with mom. Mm-hmm. And he said it's the worst thing you can ever do. You can't come back from it, that sort of thing. So don't ever do it. Don't use your powers like that. And then she immediately does that to this agent who, well, I mean, in all fairness, he was a lying liar who was telling lies.
I mean, he was about to pull a gun on her, but I did laugh at her saying, I never wanted to hurt anyone. I'm like, okay, I don't think you can claim that anymore.
Yeah, I think, Hitler even said the same thing at one point. So, I mean, she's as bad as Hitler.
That was a whoopsie on my part.
Yeah, that whole Poland thing, my bad.
My bad. I thought they would be fun camps like summer.
Oh, geez, that's not okay. I don't want this. Actually, maybe if it's on you and it eclipses my Christmas episode, yeah, let's continue on with this.
The Holocaust was a tragedy.
It was.
Yeah. I would never make a Holocaust joke. Who would do that?
Shut up, Brendan.
Especially in a Christmas episode. Can you imagine?
What kind of asshole does that, eh?
Yeah.
So she serves up some roast agent and does some hallway creeping, trying to find Dad. And then we find out it's a trap because she does find Dad. Again, after killing a lot of agents,
a lot.
She is a Jack Cruz level of I didn't want to kill anybody while killing a lot of people.
Yeah.
she goes, and of course she finds Dad, and she says, I got your message. You were reaching out to me to say, where you were. He's like, I didn't. It's a trap. They were getting Rainbird to do that, to draw her in, I guess.
And then that agent lady, Condoleezza Rice, is in the room with Zac
Condoleezza Rice,
Efron.
Amanda Waller.
Yeah. And Charlie holds herself at fire point so that her dad can get medical attention.
Yeah, but Condoleezza Waller's not going along with it.
No.
And but Dad knows the only way out of this is to burn me and her, and he uses his push on her to make her use her fire abilities to set him and Condoleezza Waller on fire.
Yep.
I use Condoleezza Waller because it's Amanda Rice just sounds like another name.
Condoleezza Waller does sound a lot more fancy.
Remember, we'll have to put that one down for the your name is what now? Or actually, no, that's the we don't even care about your name.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, the your name is what now is with the silly names.
Yeah. Yeah. So Zac Efron's and that girl, they're both charred. They're dead, and she's walking out.
Charlie in the charcoal factory.
Charcoal factory. That's a very dark version of that movie. He's like, Charlie, this charcoal factory, it's all yours. Like, I'm okay.
I mean, a lot of people are switched to propane. It's a cleaner burning fuel. And
yeah, I think I'm just gonna go. I think I'd rather just live at home where like 5 of us share a bed. But yeah, so she's walking around, she's killing more agents, and then
because she was actually instructed to burn it all down.
Yes,
just like Seth Rollins.
Yeah, got it in.
I don't think we had one before that.
It took a while. I was getting scared.
Yeah, we got her there. Got her in. It was Seth Rollins one too.
I have here that the subtle Rainbird breaks out of his cell very subtly.
Oh my god. Oh, because she lets everybody out.
Yeah.
She unlocks all the holding doors, including Rainbird, who then just goes about murdering.
Oh my god. And Nathan, you would say up to this point that the movie takes itself pretty seriously, right? Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of...
serious.
No, really, though. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of jokes. It's not light.
I think
because
there's not a whole lot of like self-referential stuff where they know they're doing something terrible.
Because in this scene, she kills one of them by setting their lower half on fire and quips, "Liar, liar, pants on fire."
I did.
Why?
And I actually was like, yes.
But like,
finally,
it doesn't gel with anything else.
No, because it's like an 80s action hero quip.
Right. It'd be like, yeah.
It's like it's ice to see you. It's everybody chill out.
Right. In the middle, in the last 5 minutes of a movie that has had no jokes, no puns. Like, it was bizarre. That must have been like, I don't know. That must have been like a guy coming in to punch up the script, and he's like, "You can probably throw a joke in here just to lighten the mood." I wrote it down and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
I'm trying to think of like what would be comparable. Would be like in the middle of the Godfather.
Yeah, this is as good as the Godfather.
No, but
yeah.
Insofar as how serious it takes itself.
Yeah, like in the last 5 minutes of the Godfather.
Least with the Godfather, you're right. It's warranted. This not so much.
This is what would happen. No, in the last 5 minutes of the Godfather, when he shuts the door, it's like as if he shuts the door and then he pokes it back open a little bit. And he goes peekaboo. Like that would be the equivalent. Can you imagine? Would the Godfather have been as great a movie?
Or, if during the toll booth scene, James Caan screams, "Holy macaroni!" before they shoot him. Like it would definitely take the respectometer down quite a bit on that movie.
See,
so with this movie, that's very low on the respectometer to begin with. It takes it down even further.
I would just want it to happen at the very end of The Godfather, just for the only reason being that somebody is like, "What? Did they just end it like that?"
Peekaboo.
Peekaboo. Shuts the door.
Or your mother called.
Or like just a really on the nose, like the door is closing and Al Pacino just pokes his head in and he's like, "This is me shutting you out of my life. I'm becoming a big gangster now. Yay!"
If you need me, I'll be in the Zoom room. Which in the 70s was just a really big room where you could run around with your arms stretched out going, zoom, zoom.
Come back for Godfather 2, folks. Or like...
Don't feel you need to stick around for part 3.
A big, like, circle appears on the screen. Al Pacino comes on. He's like, a bleep, bleep, bleep. That's all, folks. So it'd be like that.
It'd be like that.
So Rainbird saves Charlie.
Okay.
And
man.
He killed her mom.
Yeah. And now they're going to go off on weekly adventures like Littlest Hobo or Master Ninja.
Charlie and the Rainbird.
So that's the name of the show. Just like BJ and the Bear.
Charlie and the Rainbird. It doesn't. Again, he
Cagney
murdered her mother, and they're supposed to be like
he gave some weak, I don't know, speech about how she's his sister and all this. So I was like, you know what? No, you murdered her legitimate biological mother.
Yeah. Just because you have the same powers doesn't mean you suddenly connect.
And I'm like, she let him live? Like, honestly.
It was wild. Wild.
Yeah. And then as they're walking away, I was like, now set the ocean on fire. Come on, do something cool before this movie. It's over, and it's over.
I will say something that I didn't mention throughout the rest of the episode, but the one thing that really works for me in this movie is the score. I really like the score.
Oh, yeah, that John Carpenter co-wrote with the ads. It's some good stuff.
Yeah, John Carpenter, one of 3 people I think that worked on the score, and I was like, this is really working for me for a movie that is really not working for me.
And the thing about it is too is if you're watching it, if they had removed the whole Google cell phone thing with the score the way it is and the way just about everybody dresses in this movie, you could have easily made this an 80s movie or a set in the 80s movie, and that score would have fit beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
Because it definitely gave me that feel that you would get watching, like, the original one should have had a score like this. Yeah. And like any of the original the original Halloween movie, very minimalist, nothing too much, and it actually it tries to create the atmosphere that they're going for in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: if we can nominate a movie score for the "I'm doing my best to save this thing," the score for this movie should definitely get a nomination.
Oh, yeah.
At the Manos next year.
100%.
And yeah, that's kind of it. There's no mid credits, thank God. There's no end credits, thank God. And I'll just crumple these up and throw them away. Get out of here.
Boom.
Done. So, I guess I feel that everyone's kind of getting the notion of what we're going to go for here, but we for the sake of formality, we have to. Brendan, would you say this movie is worth a watch? A drunk watch with friends? Are you attempting head trauma to forget it, or avoiding it like the plague?
One thing we didn't really allude to as much is, despite all this stuff happening, how painfully dull this movie is.
Yeah.
It's very slow for a 90-minute movie. Like, I just feel like it's just oof, it's just a slog to get through.
It's 90 minutes. I know we joke about things being like extra longer than they really. It felt like a 2-hour movie to me.
It did, and there was a lot of stuff that I was like, they could cut that. Of course, the movie would be 45 minutes long, but that'd be okay. Yeah, I really, really didn't enjoy this one. I would just avoid it like the plague and move on with your life.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Despite its shortcomings and terrible casting ideas, I would probably watch the original one.
Mm-hmm.
I more than I would ever want to watch this one, simply because, despite the fact that George C. Scott plays a Native American, the movie itself sticks pretty close to the source material, whereas this one just veers off wildly.
Yeah, and I just think that, I mean, and the crazy thing is we could easily talk about the 1984 movie on this podcast too. I mean, we've kind of talked about the plot of this one, so I know there's differences, but it's like, yeah, I don't know.
There's a severe difference. Charlie's in the movie, the original Charlie's in an institute, and Rainbird is like an orderly that she befriends, or he befriends her, because he's a psyops agent. Like, he works, through getting their confidence and having them, trust him and things like that. So that whole thing, him hunting them down, wasting like a bunch of cops, nothing like that happens in that movie or that book.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is just that this movie is not as good as the original, but the original we could also easily talk about on a show like this.
Easily, but I think even if we were, I would say that we'd probably have a better time, more fun watching the original one.
Yeah.
So there you have it, guys. That's our thoughts on it. Just avoid it like the plague. And just now that we're done with that, we're gonna pay a few bills here. But don't touch that dial, because remember, things have dials. You stick around, and we will be right back.
What were they thinking?
I shudder to do this. NPR bot, please initialize NPR mode.
NPR mode.
Very good. Very good. I think he thought he was going to be setting us on fire just by using the noise. I'm
really glad that Milos went with not installing that function.
Yeah. Having the flamethrower would not have been a good move. But anyhow, as we are safe and safely into the NPR mode, it is now time for the low haiku. Yes. And Brendan, would you be so kind as to let anybody know, if this is their first time listening, what indeed the low haiku is?
Well, the low haiku is 17 perfect syllables, breaking down the not so perfect movie we just talked about.
And would you like to lead things off with your low haiku?
Sure. Don't you want to know how we keep starting fires? A 9-year-old girl.
Very good. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Mine is a little more about my emotions in the movie, as opposed to just, letting us know how the fires kept getting started.
Well, bury them deep down. I don't want to be set on fire.
I want to keep it down. Just tamping it down.
Okay.
Movie sparks contempt. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Okay, laughed at that. Thank you. Okay, NPR bot, please initiate exit protocol.
Fire extinguisher. Whoosh.
Oh,
You did. Who gave him that?
I told Milos that the fire was a bad idea, but I think he meant that remove the fire flamethrower, install the fire extinguisher for safety. I mean, his heart was in the right place. I just don't know where his brain was.
Sorry, gentlemen, was me. I am brain of operation. I convinced him to do this.
Oh, Borsty, of course it was you.
Yeah. Anyway, I go hang out with my my new nun girlfriend now.
What?
Nothing. Bye.
Oh my god! I think there's
I have to get to the bottom of that one.
Some drama afoot in the in the old world, I guess.
I mean, I didn't see anyone with I didn't see any meter sticks broken in half, so I don't think it's Mother Superior. I don't think she's here.
Maybe Borsty has he's softened her.
Oh, I don't know. We gotta. Well, we'll put that on the back burner for now.
Yeah. What's the we're infidelities and Eastern Europeans aside, we don't want you guys to think that we're the arbiters of good Firestarter movies and bad Firestarter movies, and so much so that we actually have a saying around here to remind us and hopefully remind you of how indeed you should approach these sort of things. Brandon, what is that saying that we have for our ourselves and our listeners?
Well, Nathan, if you don't mind, I have a guest that just wants to say what we say.
Okay.
Yeehaw! It's me, Southern Rock. Missed you, boys. And I just want to tell you, that little saying we have around here, it kind of goes like this.
Don't take a word for it.
That's right, Southern Rock. Don't take our word for it. I mean, Brendan and I kind of tore this thing apart, but I mean, we're snooty movie snobs. I mean, right. And half the time talking out our ass. I mean, I'm sure that the people who are paid to talk out of their ass thought better of this. What did the critics have to say about this remake, Brendan?
Well, you are incorrect because only 10% of the 157 critics that reviewed this movie publicly liked it.
Okay. I mean, but the audience, the audience love a good remake, don't they? Everybody's going on about how they love the idea that remakes and reboots are so popular these days.
That's pretty much the narrative I've been hearing, yeah. But no, I mean, certainly more than the critics, but 47% of, let me just see here, only 250 plus ratings?
Oh my. I will say this, as I said before, I barely knew when this was in theaters.
Yeah.
And I have not seen it. We were trying to find this, I ended up renting it. But as far as streaming goes, it's available on Peacock in the States, but I don't think it's available on anything streaming here in Canada.
No.
So I think that's a drawback that a lot of these networks that are now starting their own streaming stuff to go along with their movie studios that they're associated with should look into, because it made it really hard to track down this on any sort of streaming site whatsoever in Canada. And it really sucked that I had to pay $7 goddamn to see this movie.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I had to give them some of my hard-earned money to the makers of Firestarter. Right.
And Stephen King would have got a dime maybe.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's dive right into it. And please, Brendan, you grab that first critics review.
Well, this is I don't know if this is this person's name, but we'll just go with it. From TT Stern Enzi. out of
Okay.
WXIX-TV in Cincinnati, Ohio, with a very clever review. Unfortunately, it didn't really catch fire. ...
Well, my first one comes from a previous guest of the show, Amanda the Jedi.
Oh.
And Amanda wrote, "Not even bad enough to be funny. This is just plain boring."
Very true. Sarah Ward of Concrete Playground says, Zac Efron looking so bored that blood drips from his eyes, dressing up King's 1980s story as a superhero tale, and having its pyrokinetic protagonist say liar, liar, pants on fire when she's torching someone aren't a recipe for igniting movie magic.
I laughed, so.
As an isolated thing, I was like, that was ridiculous. But in the terms of the movie, it made no sense.
None whatsoever. My next review comes from Rob Hunter from the Film School Rejects, and I think old Rob kind of is mirroring kind of what we were saying towards the end there. Skip the movie, pick up the soundtrack.
Yeah. Hell
that
yeah.
was a negative review, 1.5 out of 5.
Jackie K. Cooper echoed one of my sentiments about this movie from JackieKCooper.com, of course. And I guess this will be my last critics review. Where is Drew Barrymore when you need her? And when you don't want to see Zac Efron in father roles, we all feel old enough already.
All right. Well, you know what? I think I'm going to end this one on a positive note.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the 10%. Matt Hudson from What I Watched Tonight writes, I don't know how this is a positive review, but just takes the basics of the genre and applies them efficiently. Efficiently really is the word here. There's simply nothing spectacular or even stand out here. But it stays true to itself throughout and never deviates from its pedestrian-paced path. 5.5 out of 10.
Oh, that should have been classified as rotten, probably.
I don't get it. Like, I guess because he's saying it's I want him to gouge my eyes out.
Yeah.
Because of that. So I mean that, I guess giving it a kind of a pass means it's a positive review.
Very strange. But
Yeah.
Enough of those professional know-it-alls. Shall we dive in and see what the general masses are saying?
Yes, let's.
Well, Victor A. Is elated about this film. He gives it a full 5 stars. Why the heck is this rated so low? I really enjoyed it. Love the pace, the moody vibe, and the build-up. Reminded me of The Guest. That's insane. I think it was...
That is insane.
Yeah, there's no way this movie shouldn't even utter The Guest's name. I think it was a great movie, just not what most people were expecting. Zac Efron did a phenomenal job. I mean, he was fine.
Phenomenal.
Like,
oof.
I mean, I don't think he's the reason it's bad, but Jesus.
No, he didn't vote it in. I will say that,
No.
but still.
Yeah.
What was that out of stars?
Oh, it was 5 stars.
Oh, right. Well, my first one comes from Donald.
It's kind of like
Donald
Cher,
said-
no last name.
No, just Donald.
Oh, okay.
But I'm assuming it's former President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Oh, God.
And he writes, "There was no reason to start this fire. I pray this is fully extinguished forever." 1 of the stars.
There's no way he had the smarts to write that.
Yeah, he could not quip like that. There's
That-
no way he'd be able to pun that well.
That review, if it was written by him, it would have been 20 pages long, and it would have been about everything else.
Well, maybe they cut all that out just to put in the bits about the movie.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe his editor got on it.
He has an editor.
I don't know. No, probably not.
It's like Twitter would say otherwise.
Nexia G says, I loved the movie, and I'm waiting for part 2. I don't know what a quote-unquote good film has to be like, but this movie was entertaining, full of good effects, and a leading lady who was really good at 11 years old. 4.5 out of stars.
Has anybody informed this person that there is no sequel to Firestarter?
No. What are you talking about?
There's no
Part
sequel
2.
to Pet Cemetery either, though, so I guess...
That didn't stop
or
them.
Carrie. So, I mean, fair game.
Wait, The Rage Carrie 2 is not based on the Stephen King book, The Rage Carrie 2?
I will fucking reach through fiber optic wires and strangle you. My next one comes from Sin C, and I can only assume that's Sin Cara. And
I couldn't see it because I was too busy falling.
He writes, too short of a movie for character development. Montage of mastering powers in short time period by self seems improbable.
Wow.
2.5 out of stars from Sankara.
Whew, like most of his matches in WWE. Okay.
Hi-yo!
Oh. All right, I'm gonna keep the positivity train going. From Jessica G, she says, "I'm coming from a place of not seeing the original or reading the book. I thought it was a great movie that kind of made a statement to an older generation, trying not to make it up to 2022 code of standards. You're pretty sure they're somewhere in the 70s or 80s, but it could be now too. No, there was Wi-Fi in the movie.
See, they say Google.
Yeah. Seeing an offspring have her own abilities and then both abilities of the parents. Why did she say offspring instead of child? That's weird.
No one talks like that.
No. Seeing an offspring have her own abilities and then both abilities of the parents was pretty neat and straightforward. Okay. The effects were great, I thought. No, not true. Seemed a little along the lines of Stranger Things. I would have liked to have known how the parents got together, like before the experiment or after the experiment. I feel like...
They met during the experiment.
She wants a romance origin story. I feel like it's the quote unquote, the original was way better, or quote unquote, the book was a lot better, people who are giving it such a low rating. But maybe give it a chance with neither of those in mind. I liked it, and I liked Zac Efron in it. It's a shame he couldn't survive in the end. Spoiler alert, Jessica. Anyway, she gives it 4 stars.
Okay. All right. Let's see what I got here. Well, I've got one here from Mr. Hollywood. I didn't know he had his medical license stripped of him. So,
yeah.
But formerly Doc Hollywood, now Mr. Hollywood, writes, boring. For a movie about having the ability to start fires, to be boring is something not cinematic, not engaging, no fun, just boring and dull. Another unnecessary remake! Exclamation point. So I'm assuming he was yelling that, but I'm doing you guys a favor. Not yelling that. And the book was entertaining, so to make this into a boring, bland remake seems like they just wanted to rush this out. No F's given. 2 out of stars.
Wow. All right, well,
wasn't quite sure, but I think Mr. Hollywood found this movie boring.
It's very subtle, but it's kind of, if you read between the lines.
It's the subtext, really. It's what he's not writing that what you got to be looking for, right?
Yeah. This one, they didn't leave a name, so Coward.
Coward?
Yep, but it's very simple, Nathan. 5 stars, best movie of all time.
Okay.
And that's my last one.
That's your last one. All right. Actually, I'm going to give you 2 quick last ones because they're a sentence. Of Elvira, and I can only assume that's Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, aka Cassandra Peterson, wrote, "Didn't make any sense." 0.5 out of stars. And the very last one is from RF, who I can only assume is Reginald Fizzlebottom. And he writes, So, why remake this film? 3 out of stars.
Who the fuck is Reginald Fizzlebottom?
I just made him up.
Okay. I was like, I don't get that reference at all.
Just he'll be the new administrative assistant here at the offices of What Were They Thinking.
I'm surprised.
Talk to Reginald about it.
I'm surprised
I can't help you with that. I'm sorry.
I'm just surprised you didn't bust out your spot on Richard Farnsworth impression.
That was the professor from Futurama, right?
Sure.
No, that was Hubert Farnsworth.
Oh.
Good news, everyone.
His brother. So we did it.
There you go, folks. Yeah, that's it. That's that. We've waxed poetical. We've talked about it. We've gave our thoughts, and the critics have given their thoughts. So let's put Firestarter, much like a lot of things from 2022, in the rear view.
Well, would you say that we would put Firestarter on the back burner?
Sure, why not?
Ah!
I'll let you get a pun in every once in a while.
Well, I got to get one, because the rest of this episode was super serious. So that was my Firestarter pun.
That was your liar pants on fire moment.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and now we actually get to talk about some stuff we've been enjoying. It's the dance sensation that's sweeping the nation, ladies and gentlemen. It's the What You Watching, Bud.
What you watching, bud? I don't know what you watching, bud. I'll tell you so. Do.
So yeah, Brendan, what you watching, bud?
What am I watching? Well, I'll tell you, just to lift the curtain a bit like we did earlier, we are recording this, of course, at the very beginning of the year. So I watched a lot of stuff over the break. But one thing that stuck out to me was a film called The Last Seduction. This is a movie out of 1990-something, I think 1994. It stars Linda Fiorentino, who seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth since, like, I don't know, for the last almost 15 to 20 years. It is like a neo film noir, but told from the POV of the femme fatale herself. So she is the lead, she is the focus, she is not some like femme fatale who slowly her heart opens more and more for this guy. No, she knows how to scam everyone. She's constantly fucking people over. She manipulates like nobody's business, and it's very fun to watch. It's a very dark movie, and yeah, it's just a blast. And Bill Pullman is also in it, playing a very skeezy character, which is kind of fun to see because I don't feel like he really ever got to play
do that a whole lot.
Yeah, so it's a different kind of role for him. But yeah, The Last Seduction, check it out. It's great.
Cool.
How about you, bud?
Well, actually, I checked out a more recent film, one that I didn't get to see while I was in theaters. Well, it was in theaters rather. Anything I see when I'm in theaters, I see. So I got. Anyhow, as you said, we're recording this at the first of the year. Prime just recently put Bullet Train on, and so Patty and I checked that out the other night. Man, did I have a good time watching that movie. It's so ridiculous, but it's so funny. Aaron Taylor Johnson is nigh unrecognizable in that movie. Brad Pitt is hilarious. There's a fun cameo at the end. I don't want to spoil who it is because it spoils the identity if I do.
Really like Brian Tyree Henry as well.
Yes, yeah. And who? I can't remember her name now, but she plays the hit girl, for the lack of a better term.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. She's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So yeah,
Joey King.
And there's some. There you go. Lots of really great fight scenes in close quarters because it's all happening on a train. There's a lot of fun intrigue. There's mystery as to who someone might be or who someone else might be, and also Bad Bunny's there. So who are you to deny what is a good time? Yes. Bullet Train on Prime.
Yeah. I agree. I second that recommendation.
Good. Fun stuff. Yeah.
But Nathan, it's time to plug stuff. So, I know a guy who's pretty good at this, and his name is Montrose Monkington. Is he around to do that?
He is. Just give me one moment. I will invite him on in.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, come on. It's a nice new microphone you've gotten here. All right. Hello! It's your good friend Montrose Monkington III here, and I would just like to invite all of you over to my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV, where I talk about the wrestling and whatnot. And things are getting strange with this, GCW and Greek Town Wrestling I've covered recently. Black Label Pro is another one I'm going to be checking out soon, and I'm really gonna go off the rails with the indie promotions, I think, this year. So let's see what that does to your old friend Montrose. If you wanted to see my videos, you don't have to just watch them on YouTube. You can do them at their Facebook group, Montrose Monkington III, Esquire, and Friends. You can also communicate with me there, and you can communicate with me on Twitter at Montrose III. That's the number 3 RD. Thank you. More later. Yeah.
Thank you, Montrose.
You're welcome.
You could also find us on all the podcast apps. Our home base, of course, is Age of Radio.
Big time.
You can go to ageofradio.org/what were they thinking. You can also find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. And also check us out on Patreon, Redbubble, TeePublic, all that good stuff. Nathan, we're coming to the end, so I guess I just have like a few questions about Firestarter 2022.
I suppose I could try to answer them.
Well, I mean, I think what I'm trying to ask you overall here, and what I'm going to get to here in a moment, when I'm going to present you with this question, okay?
Okay.
It's going to be a good question, and I think you're going to have to do some real thinking when I get to it. But you need to let me come to it naturally, okay? So
right.
As I'm kind of describing, we're kind of watching the process happen here. So what I want you to do for me is answer this question that's been lingering in my head this whole episode.
Okay.
And I really I hope you have a good answer prepared. But what I really want to know in this movie,
right?
It was released last year,
2022. Yep.
I just need to know, and maybe I need to know if you want to know. I just don't you want to know how he keeps starting fires?
You let me around on a question like that for that long for a callback from the first of the episode.
Yeah, huh?
People are going to be asking us, what were they thinking?
Fire in the disco. Fire in the Taco Bell. Fire in the disco. Fire in the gates of hell. Don't you want to know how we keep starting fires? It's my desire. It's my desire. It's my desire. Don't you want to know how we keep starting fires? It's my desire. It's my desire. It's my desire. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we touch. When we kiss. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we cut. When we kiss. When we touch. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we touch. And when we kiss. Danger, danger. High voltage.